My friends, some of you have stated in comments that you are very lost in your journey. My one solution before you try to go any further is this: you must die before you die. You must let go believing that you have a life so that you can recognize that you are life itself. I really enjoy this topic because personally I believe it is by far the most transformational spiritual experience. If you are currently on the journey of killing your identity and then being reborn, I hope this video will give you some clarity on what exactly is happening throughout this process and what you may experience once you have reached the rebirth phase. So, to begin, the moment we are born, a character is already beginning to write its story. The moment you touch the air of this reality, you are given a name. You're born into an environment where you will be conditioned and pretty much programmed. You will be told what to think and how to think, and these conditions will form what we call a personality. It's the way you express yourself to others. We grow up with these desires, feelings, beliefs, all of these labels that we claim to make us who we are as a person. We are also identified with the story of who I am. If I were to ask you to describe yourself, realize that mostly everything you say is something that can be changed at any point of time, or realize that everything you say is just a part of a story attached to your character. It's not who you truly are. The spiritual journey is, by far, in my opinion, the most painful, yet beautiful, experience anyone can go through, because this story, and what you have believed yourself to be, begins to shatter. Everything, and I mean everything you thought you knew, wasn't the truth. This process is more about letting go and unlearning things than it is learning things. And because the ego is what holds these stories together, once you begin killing those attachments, your ego will begin dying. It actually believes that you will die if you let go of certain things. This is why there is so much resistance during this journey. This is why people believe it's so difficult to change. It's because the ego doesn't want to die. It wants to stay in full control. It wants to believe that it's real, like Pinocchio. It wants to be who you truly are. It wants to be a real being. But if you inquire what the ego is, you will realize that the concept of the ego isn't even real, because there is no thinker. There is no one here to take ownership of thoughts. Thoughts are just happening, and the attachment to them creates the illusion that those thoughts are you, and that you are thinking those thoughts. So that sense of I am thinking has been created, but the ego is also just another story. When people say kill your ego, it's not literally killing it so it no longer exists. It's not possible to actually kill your ego. It's more about disidentifying with it so that it no longer controls you. And then, eventually, the ego will settle down, realize that it's no longer in control, and now you can be in harmony with it. Dying before you die is very important. Definitely, if you are someone who has suffered a lot in life or is currently going through suffering, because during this process you really begin seeing everything for what it truly is. Ask yourself right now, without thoughts, what else is left? Without labeling and judging everything, what's left? Without trying to create what you think this moment should feel or look like, what's left? You can't really experience what I am pointing to with any language. No words or answers are the truth. Just look around, just be here. What's left is what is. It is what it is. It's just this. And when letting go of things like fear and anxiety and depression, etc., this is what you must come to realize. You must realize that it's all BS. It's all just another story of the mind, and it's not true at all. Notice how when you are experiencing one of those so-called problems, let's take fear for example, because that's honestly what's behind every emotion. So fear rises, and that feeling in your chest appears. Those stories of what may happen begin running through the mind, and now you are stuck in an illusion of the mind. What you believe to be true isn't even what's happening. How can I love and hold a spider in my hand? But when you get close to one, you freak out and jump straight into fight or flight. You begin sweating and having flashbacks. You can't even go watch Spider-Man movies. That's how terrifying they are to you. But the only difference between me and you is what's going on inside. Your thoughts and feelings are responding in a completely different way than mine. But take away the resistance to those thoughts and emotions that arise with fear. When you take a step back and observe what's actually happening, you will see that, oh, there is energy vibrating in my chest and it's not actually hurting me. It's not even a bad thing. It's just energy. Oh, and thinking is also happening, but it's happening to no one. It's just happening. There is no need to believe in the stories. There is no need to label those uncomfortable sensations as bad because it's just energy. These are the stories you just let go of. These are the things that must die for you to be reborn into truth. Everything you think yourself to be is just another story. You don't have anxiety. You don't have fear. You're not depressed. Take the labels and stories away and see what's left. It's just things happening, and they are happening to no one. You don't need to claim these things to be who you are because they aren't you. You are the awareness of what's happening. You are not the body. You are not the mind. Those things are made out of you, but they aren't who you are directly. Once you die, before you die, it will be painful. We cannot escape pain, but we can escape suffering. This death will feel like your whole reality has been destroyed, and that's because it has. You may even begin grieving that old story of yourself, and that's okay. You may fall into an isolation period for some time, and that's just the universe preparing you for your rebirth. It's time to see the truth. It's time to live in truth and not in these stories and limitations of the mind. Because what you are is boundless and limitless energy. You are everything and everyone. Collectively, we are all the one and only God. There is no such thing as separation. That's also another illusion. What you are is life. You don't have a life, you are life itself. Without you, there is no experience. Without you, there is no human character. There is no nature. Everything exists within us. It's not the other way around. You are not in this world, the world is in you. Once you become reborn, these things I'm saying will become so clear for you to see. And the funny thing about all of this, and this whole process, is that this is who we all have always been. We have never been what we all thought to be. Ask yourself, what was I before the world began telling me who I am? With love and light, let's forge ahead together.